What's up, YouTube? How you doing? Facebook, how you doing? How's everybody doing? It's another day here in my neighborhood. I think I got my lighting situation down pat. Now I got to work on my sound and my production. Um, Went out and got some stuff to make myself look a little bit more natural without doing the what they call it, the makeup and all of that other stuff. So welcome to the Mardi Gras room, my studio. I got a little of my music folks behind me. Um, and I got some inspiration. Um, I want to say thank you to some of you folks for hitting me up offline, and even people that didn't have my number. I had a couple of people that contacted me via Facebook and DM. As long as I ain't butt naked in the shower, you understand? Unless you butt naked in the shower too, and I see you that way, I ain't answering the phone. But otherwise, I try to talk to folks because I figure if you take the time to say hello, you probably got something you want to say. With that being said, let's say it one more time. How's everybody doing? Give me some thumbs up. All right, YouTube, it's okay if you hit a thumb up as well. Give me some love. Show me some love. Show me some love. That's the one thing that's missing in this world today, a lack thereof. Love. So anyway, I went and I blew up a couple pictures that I took. I wanted to showcase some of my artwork, my photography, I should say. And this picture here is 16 or 17-year-old me when I had a lot of hair. This picture here, I decided I was going to make one of my call photos. And of course, this is going to be pretty much my call sign on my podcast. So with that being said, I'm going to say good evening. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's doing all right. I want to thank you guys for spending your Thursday nights with me. As always, I'm truly humbled. My show is called OMITDALOGIC. I got something to say. The thing I always say is OMITDALOGIC, this shit makes no sense. If you don't already know, my name is Hank Batiste. I'm your host tonight, and the voices in my head are pissed but not surprised. Pissed but not surprised by the situation that's going on in the southern border. I hate to start the show off with I told you so, but I told you so. Remember back on January the 20th during the inauguration, I wrote a spoken word poem that I later performed and it called In Hindsight 2020 Ain't 2020. Many of my Facebook friends said that I was a spoiled sport and, why couldn't I just be happy in the moment? And I just found it hard to bask in the glory of little Amanda's poem, A Promise, mainly because I've lived too many years. One of the things I really thank my parents for in my community is they allowed us, or they allowed me, my parents especially, to be a child when I was a child. Somewhere around 68, we had a rude awakening. Um, I was young enough or old enough to remember Kennedy being assassinated, JFK, but me and John, or me and little JFK Jr., we were the same age. So I was more enthused by this little fellow saluting his dad's coffin than I was anything else, but it didn't hit me as hard as in 1968 when King was assassinated. And it was what I call the end of my naivety. It was the end of my, I don't know, the end of promise really for my parents, because I think they purposely shielded us away from a lot of what was going on in the country so that we could have a childhood free of adult-like problems. And I think that's the thing that's missing with children today. Um, Not only are they having their credit ruined by the time that they're 7, but they know everything that's going on in the household when the parents can't pay bills, or when the you know, parents are going through this, that, or the other. They hear one parent, defiling and talking about the other parent. And I just didn't grow up that way. So I truly think and appreciate my parents and my community for allowing us to be a kid. In 68, after King got killed, it started the Black Power movement. And people were saying things like, the revolution will not be televised. Lo and behold, it really was. But we lived in a mixed neighborhood. And when the Black Power movement started, everybody kind of went to their tribe. The Italians started hanging with Italians. The Jews started hanging with Jews. Blacks started hanging with blacks, and all of this. So we saw this happening, and from that point on, my mom allowed us to see what was happening. I remember her. I was watching Ironside, and I know I've told this story before, but I'm getting old now, so sometimes I tell the same story. Shut up, you. Um, I remember I was watching Ironside, and Walter Cronkite came in with this special report, and he said Dr. Martin Luther King has just been assassinated. And I heard my mom sit back on a chair. She just dropped onto the chair. And then I heard this whimper. 5 minutes before that, my mom was fussing at me about sitting too close to the TV. And boy, if I have to tell you back up one more time, I'm going to cut that darn TV off. You're going to be blind. And 5 minutes later, she's sitting back in a chair, and I heard the whimper, and I turned around, and I saw the tears rolling down her face. And then she mumbled, "Lord, what we gonna do now?" Being about 8 years old and not remember seeing my mom cry before, I thought he was related to us. So from the 4th of April through the 8th of April, we got a chance to watch TV and the legacy and what have you. And when I saw some of the things that was going on, I thought it was a foreign country. But I bring all of that up because on January the 20th, I could not bask in the glory of little Amanda. I was impressed. I was utterly impressed and proud as a Black man to see someone reminiscent of my child or my grandchild standing up there. What a little diminutive statue with these big words and all of this huge promise, but I just couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't enjoy it because I've seen America renege too many times. After April the 4th, I got to see racism up close and personal. I can remember marching in Gladiators Parade in St. Bernard Parish, and in 1975, 1976, they were saying shit like nigger, Roos, Kunta Kinte, and this kind of thing. So it was a rude awakening. And I came out of this cocoon that I called my neighborhood. And then I was punished when I went in the Marine Corps because I was too smart. I didn't fit into this cast of what they thought a brother from the Ninth Ward or from the ghetto or from, you know, a big city should be like. I didn't fit the stereotype. So I couldn't bask in the glory because I saw what I knew what would happen. Not all white people, but those white people that are afraid, they're very opportunistic with their fear. So I knew that there would be some retaliation. No less than 5 people from Facebook and probably 5 to 7 other people outside of Facebook called me this week asking me if I saw the images of the guy chasing down the Haitians. And um, when I saw the images, I got angry. I got angry at myself for not being angrier. America is getting darker because the world is a melting pot. To add to the mix, more people are dating, marrying, and having children that are multiracial. I don't say outside of their race because how do we define what a race is? We consider ourselves this, that, or the other. But tonight we're just going to skim the top of racism, this thing we call racism. We're not just going to focus on black and white and that type of racism or that type of prejudice. We're going to talk about black on black. We're going to talk about male on female. We're going to talk black on brown and so on and so on. Tonight's show is called Racism and Hate, as American as baseball and apple pie. I'm Hank Batiste. Let's omit the logic. This shit makes no sense. I got something to say. Let's do this. This shit makes no sense. This shit makes no sense. When I think about racism, I see all the classic images of black people being mistreated, and I think of the blue veins and light-skinned Creoles and dark-skinned Creoles, and I see the double standards of white people tearing up the US Capitol. And I compared that to when the Black Lives Matter just peacefully protested, and there was this huge show of force. The vision that I see is 20,000 people or more being whipped into a frenzy by the despicable, delusional one they call the president, because they did not like the outcome of the election. I couldn't even bring myself to say, fuck out of here. Do you know how many times black folks have been disappointed by the outcome of the election? When I think about how many times urban areas or densely populated black areas is redistricted, they redraw the district lines to dilute our ability to even elect someone who might try to create a better world for us or any type of change in our community. When I think of this, I can't even say. I can't fix my mouth to say fuck out of here. When I see black folks who capitulate, assimilate, and sell out because they're afraid or they're tired of fighting and they think it's easier to be used by the system than it is to try and make a difference. Even if it means that their children and their grandchildren have a harder time. Tears well up in my eyes and I get angrier. I'm angry not because I'm crying, not because I'm I'm crying because I'm so mad that I don't have anything else to do with that anger. I keep hearing James Brown say, I would rather die on my feet than to live on my knees. When I see these people doing what they're doing because they want so badly to be accepted that they're willing to give up their own identity and culture. And I say, racism is a mofo. If it can beat somebody down, that makes them do that. Question. I asked this question last week and I'm going to ask it again because Cory Booker just said that the George Floyd bill, and they changed the name of the bill, by the way, was dead in the water. Last week I told you, I said the George Floyd bill is dead in a proverbial congressional stalemate waters. Was it prophetic? No. It was what I knew on January the 20th. Because remember, we had all of these protests last week, and we had all of this momentum. So much so that Nancy Pelosi took a knee with kente cloth around her neck. And it pissed me off because I didn't feel it like it was sincere. This shit makes no sense when voting right restrictions are being pushed in 49 states. Racism. You remember FUBU jeans for us by us? See, the other side of racism is self-hate. So racism becomes something that's for us by us. And we do it to each other. When I look at the assimilation and the subliminal messages in advertising, I see Black women with white husbands and these little multiracial kids, and I laugh. It doesn't make me angry. Truth be told, it really does not. You see, I'm not prejudiced in the classical sense. I believe that you love whoever you love because they make you happy. If you start loving somebody because you dislike yourself and you feel like loving them is going to somehow make you feel better about who you are, then I feel more sadness for you than I feel anger. But that's the racism that I hate. I can't be mad when I see interracial couples simply because I said it before. I'm like Captain Kirk. I've dated every hue, every color, every so-called ethnicity, every race, and every background. From those that are poorest of the poor to those that are rich. One would think, with so many multicultural children being born, that racism would somehow be on a decline and somehow it would be a thing of the past. Now, I was about 23 years old. 23, yeah, I say 23, maybe 24, but I think I was 23. And I met this Norwegian girl in New Orleans working as a nanny, Angelica Berg. And she and I started dating. And I care so much about her that I decided I would take her to meet my mom. Not because I was contemplating marriage or anything. It's just people that I care about I want them to meet my mom. I want them to know where I come from. I want them to know who made me who I am. And when I brought the young lady, she had this natural blonde hair, these ice cold blue eyes, and she had a figure to die for. And I think I fell for it because I used to go to this club and she used to watch me dance. There used to be this interracial or whatever club across the river on the west bank of from New Orleans called Bentley's. And I used to go up in there because it was across the street from where I worked. And this girl used to watch me. She used to watch me dance. I've always been a dancer. So when I went to a club, I didn't go to get drunk. I didn't go, that wasn't my idea of partying. My idea of having a good time was to dance my feet off with as many women as I could. And if I met somebody, then let it, the chips fall my way. I mean, let the chips fall where it may. Freudian slip. But when I brought this young lady by my mom's house, my mom looked at her and she said, she's a beautiful young lady. She says, but do you understand? You have what the white man treasures most, his queen. And I'm like, Mom, it ain't like that no more. Times have changed. And I really believe that until one night we were in the French Quarter. And there was this club, I can't think of the name of it. It was like I think it was like Iberville, Bienville and Royal. It was upstairs and every time I hear Cyndi Lauper, I think of this club. But I took her over to this club and we were walking back to my car and I was parked on Bienville and I don't know, right off of Rampart. And this guy say, hey man, how much? I said, what? Now, if you know, back in the days, we dressed. So I was dressing like Morris Day before Morris Day was dressing like Morris Day. Anybody know me will tell you that. But now we went into the whole Miami Vice kind of thing. So I had on this pastel suit, and I think it may have been pink. It was either pink or yellow. But I had these pastel suits with the shoulder pads and the ruffled shirt and the little clip, little brooch at the neck, looking like, I don't know, looking like a clown, I would say. But it was the style. And I was doing a little modeling. So, I was getting paid, so I would always be on the cutting edge. Guys say, how much? I said, what? And she's dressed with a little short skirt, looking like a Madonna, not the Madonna, but Papa don't preach. Like a prayer Madonna with these gorgeous legs. And the guy said, how much? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, you're a pimp, right? How much for your girl? I was like, man, if you don't get out my face. And I got so mad. And one night we were at no. We were at, I can't think of the name of the hotel, but they had a grand piano in the lobby right in front of the restaurant. And I tried to impress her with the one or two songs that I could kind of play on piano. And this girl sit down and she started playing all of this I mean, she played everything from jazz to classical. And I'm like, where'd you learn to do that? She said, well, first of all, jazz is big in Europe. And I was like, wow. You know, I really thought, because my parents thought that by the time I was an adult, that this would start to subside and it would start to disappear. And my granddaughter was married to a white guy. And all of this, and I don't care. I hate making the stipulations of race because we're just as bad on each other as they are on us. When I hear one woman say to me, a black woman, you got it going on. Why aren't you married? I always say, well, why aren't you married? Then I hear these same women complain about how they're being discriminated against in the workplace and unappreciated in relationships. And I have to remind them that the black man is an endangered species too. I shake my head because at least, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. At least some of these white women acknowledge the obvious. You see, they've heard it from their daddies and their uncles that these laws were created to level the playing field so that black men could have some take home pay comparable to the wages of their white counterparts. And then we saw those same laws be exploited. And nowadays, the last one to be hired is a heterosexual black man. You see, being black, male, and homosexual gives you protection from the LGBT community. Black women are seen as less threatening and they satisfy two employment stats, minority and female. We, on the other hand, when we have a position, we have a certain je ne sais quoi that makes women want to be with us. So once we have that money and that contact, and so they strangulate us, they emasculate us so that we don't have it. And then they tell our women to say things like, I can do bad all by myself. So after 40 years of go away, little boy, and the only thing that this man could bring to this relationship was don't kiss my earlobe like that. You know how, stop now, I know your moves. Do you think you could have a job by Thursday? I promise you, this brother would have had a job 14 Thursdays ago if it were up to him. John Amos left Good Times because Norman Lear would never let the Evans family get out of Cabrini Green's ghetto, that project. And we laughed just looking out of the window. Keeping your head above water, making a way when you can. Temporary layoff. Layoffs weren't temporary. Easy credit ripoffs. Today, the same damn thing is happening. Then I realized no matter what I say, no matter who pretends to be woke, my message is going to fall on deaf ears. Some people stopped listening as soon as I said what I said, and they tuned out because they don't want to hear it. It's uncomfortable. And then people say to me, well, why are you airing our laundry? Fool, the laundry is already out there. When you put your laundry on the line, anybody could see the shit stains. See, race is a conundrum. Race is as complex as nuclear physics and as simple as the golden rule. Treat everybody the way you want them to treat you. Then I saw the Haitians. When I first saw the images of the Haitian people on the southern borders, before the media exposed that these were Haitians, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Only people in the world that's treated worse than American Black folks are the Haitians. Haiti and the Dominican Republic exist on the same island. And if you don't know geography, you wouldn't believe it because one is welcomed, the other is not. So when I saw the videos of the Border Patrol on horseback whipping Haitians, I got mad. I got mad as hell at myself for not being surprised and saying to myself that this was inevitable. Have I become so desensitized that I have accepted Americans' racism as an inevitable norm? Have you? What really pissed me off was when the Texas governor, and yes, I know these people's name, but I will not be saying them because I will not give them oxygen on this his show. He said he would take matters into his own hands. And what really pissed me off to the utmost of pissosity is when I hear some of these Hispanic congressmen, many who are one generation removed from being a migrant themselves, defending the Border Patrol agents. And I heard one say today, I see them in church on Sundays. They're not bad people. They're just trying to enforce the law. Then I was forced to say, fuck out of here. See, when the Mideasterners, whether they're Iraqi, Irani, or Afghani, or what have you, when they come to America, they assimilate white. The Haitians, they may vote Republican, some of them, but they will never, never be seen as white. So I blame part of this on us. I blame part of it on the media because they reinforce it. But the truth is, America is getting darker. The 2020 census illustrated something that Jimmy Carter did a study on that most people don't know about. In the late 70s, Jimmy Carter did a study that predicted around the turn of the century, America would be darker. So all of that's coming to fruition. There are more people migrating to America than ever before. By 2030, white people will truly, truly be the minority. And my Creole Paul will say that they're going to do everything that they can to remain in power. So what we're going to see in America is a minority, just like in South Africa. We're going to see white people occupy America the same way the Dutch occupy South Africa. And America will have its own version of apartheid. Yeah, I said it. I said what I said, and I meant it. I meant it. And just like in Africa, we're still going to have blacks killing blacks. 49 out of 50 states have some type of restricted voting laws on the books. As of January 2021, 23 states in the US have Democratic governors, which pretty much means that they're blue states. 27 states have Republican governors and consider themselves red states. Let me say that one more time. 23 are Democrats, 27 are Republican. But how many states does they have restricted voting laws? 49 out of 50. Racism and hate are as American as baseball and apple pie. That's all I got for you tonight. I'm pissed. I can't think straight. I got something to eat before I came here because I feel my stomach might be in knots after I did the show, and I probably wouldn't be able to eat. I get mad because I'm a veteran. My body and my head is all messed up. Not because I went to war, but I spent 3 years being dogged out because I was too smart. I asked questions and I was different. See, I was accustomed to being teased for intelligence. I've always, even in my Black community, because racism is when a young Black male exhibits intelligence, they say he's acting white. He talked like a white boy. So I went through that. But that didn't shake me because a teacher in my freshman year, Heron Hydale Curley, say, "Do the kids tease you?" And I said, "Can I just go, please? I don't want anyone to see me in here. I don't want to be a teacher's pet." She says, "Baptiste, let me tell you something. Those kids tease you, but they look up to you. So you keep on doing what you're doing." Racism is American as baseball and apple pie. You heard me say it a million times. I'm going to say it one more again. Do not be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. Because one thing about this game called life, nobody leaves alive. That's all I got for you. I see you next week right here, same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. As always, I tell you, go to my YouTube, watch the video, click on subscribe, give me some thumbs up. Let me know what you like, and keep on calling, giving me this feedback. When you see something that's on TV that you, or whatever, drop me a line. It's always important. I wish you love. I wish you peace. Like your man, Royal Crown and Bergamot hair grease. I'm out of here. Peace. All right, YouTube, I'm out.